What I like about Quench is that I think it's quite brave actually that there's been an approach which is to take a lot of academics from quite a lot of disciplines, pile them all in together. It's a bit of a melting pot, nobody quite knows what's going to happen, and then you chuck in some practitioners who come from a very different background like myself. And there's an opportunity to see what it actually will mean in terms of practical action. So how does academia get translated into things that are real, that have real meaning for people's lives? And I think that's a pretty exciting mix.
It's such a multi-sector project, and I think that anything that has to achieve results on the ground in real places at whatever scale needs to involve that different players, different stakeholders. Also the fact that it addresses multiple aspirations, the fact that we're looking at health, ecological objectives, and then also the potential, in my own research I look at how people react to climate adapted green infrastructure. So I think that to be able to, it's very powerful to be able to achieve win-win-wins across all those different areas, and that's why it really is exciting, because it's embracing those areas.
I wanted to get involved with the network because I felt like a fairly solitary individual probably in the hospital, thinking that it's not, I wanted to link in with other people who were interested in the ideas that I had, maybe about working outside or spending more time in the natural world and nature connectedness. I think there are small pockets of people who are interested in those ideas in the hospital, but I think it's also good to broaden that out and meet with lots of different people who have lots of different ideas and perspectives and can have an impact on that. So say for example I was interested in spending time in a green space, but also I hadn't particularly thought about biodiversity and what kind of impact that might have on our mental well-being, and I don't have any expertise in that area, so it's a way of linking me in with people who know all about those kind of areas as well.
So I think the Quench Network has hit on something really smart, that basically we need transdisciplinary working, and from the Eden perspective we know that when you get a mixture of science, culture, arts, creativity and academia coming together, you get this perfect chemistry, if you like, where the best ideas and practical solutions can emerge from that fermentation. And I think the way it's been constructed has been very clever.
Context is so important, so having this kind of mix of people who maybe know more about the research and then people who are practitioners who are actually working in the area to be able to kind of untangle all of that context is really important.
I mean, I think the network is dealing with these massive global challenges. I mean, biodiversity crisis, health crisis, climate as well, and the potential to address those huge questions, and providing the forum, as you say, Charlotte, to bring those different roles together in a sort of very creative space. Every research project emphasises the need to do that, but this actually facilitates that and makes it happen.
We've got to move fast and we've got to move together, and I think this type of work is really focused on the urgency, and collaboration is really important for that. And I'm really hoping that the powers that be, the NERC funders, see that this has been very successful, because there's a lot more we could do and it could be bigger, wider, and we could go faster.
And for me it feels like it's that really important balance, and sometimes it's easy to slip into our, how we connect with nature and how we use the environment. But I think the thing about Quench is it always brings it back to, we're also thinking about how the environment, how we protect the environment and biodiversity.
And I think that this network provides synergies between different research strands. And looking at the projects that are out there now, the Quench projects that I haven't been involved with, I could see ways in which you can bring together aspects of the different projects that are happening now to develop a bigger project going forwards. So maybe looking at nature connection for children and enhancing biodiversity and health, and then measuring it as well. So that would be a possibility.
Thinking of the kind of like health science side of it, this is a complex health intervention, so it's going to work in different ways, in different circumstances, different people. The context is really important. So, but having all of these little projects and being able to identify those mechanisms because of in the different contexts, that's going to be the really important thing to allow, I guess, the upscaling in a kind of different way.
I think there's something really important about not just talking to each other, And what I like about this project is the fact that people from very different backgrounds have an opportunity to share and challenge each other, and as much about the challenge as the co-creation. But the bigger issue for me is about how we then use that to persuade the influencers and the policy makers that this is a good approach, and also that there is opportunity to do this at much greater scale through that sort of multidisciplinary and multi-institutional approach. Because it's not just about academics, is it? It's fantastic. There's hospitals, there's schools, there's educators.
Well, I'm interested, so I work with people with heart problems, and there's lots of research showing that heart problems are more prevalent with specific inequalities. They're more prevalent in cities like Liverpool and Glasgow. And I suppose I wonder whether one of the inequalities might be access to green spaces. It's not necessarily something that's always high up on the list, but it could be potentially an area for more exploration.
But we also need to be absolutely sure that the stories and the science that we're sharing with people is accurate, evidence-based, and all builds on the important stories that we're telling. So all of this QUENCH network hopefully will inform what we do, but also then we will be one of the ways in which some of those stories can be told in ways that make sense to many different groups of people, different audiences.
I think also the energy behind the QUENCH network, I think, is really appealing and pulls people in. You know, the same way that you're saying, like having people out there pulling up worms. I think the whole idea of it and the enthusiasm and everybody that was facilitating it, I think, kind of drew you in and made you want to be part of it and become involved, because it's exciting, isn't it, to be part of it?
All that interactive whiteboarding felt like a load of worms. I don't know about you, but it was absolute chaos. And actually suddenly emerged these rather lovely things.
Yeah, but it's new and it's different, and it's kind of, in a way, it was a real equaliser, because it's like, oh well, nobody really knows what they're doing with this. And new technology can be like that, can't it? And you start off doing it and writing a little thing, and then thinking, oh, I can't even write my name on this, but now I've put an idea on the board. But I think there was something about the speed and the energy and the way that it was all started and growing and being part of it from the start that's really exciting. You know, and kind of coming together as a group like that and feeling like there are other people out there who care about these things. You know, and there are people who devote their lives to it. I do a little bit of it in my work and think, oh, I'm quite interested in that. But, you know, it's fantastic to be able to, for all of us to be able to meet up and talk about these things and take it forward and, you know, have some kind of, hopefully, societal impact.